Hi, I'm Candice Garcia, and we are going to be going over differentiated instruction. So what is differentiated instruction? For me, differentiated instruction is primarily student-led education. This has a couple of key components that I will go further into here in a minute. Differentiated instruction has an engaging learning environment. It has a quality curriculum with some well-defined goals. It has ongoing frequent assessments. It has a response to students' instructional needs, and it has an effective classroom management. So what does this mean? For me, an engaging learning environment is an environment in which a student can learn. This can mean a lot of things, and it means a lot of things to a lot of different people. An engaging learning environment is something that adapts to the child. It can mean having a quiet space for a child who prefers to work in a quiet area. It can mean having a carpeted area for children to receive whole group instruction, having desks when desk work is necessary, having a small group area when that is necessary, having fun, easy to understand rules available for the students to reference, easy to access materials. It can mean a lot of things for a lot of different people, and it does. This is not a one thing meets all standard, and for every teacher, it'll mean something different. A quality curriculum with well-defined goals. Students need goals and they need a quality learning curriculum. Without that, we don't know what to teach them. So if we have a quality curriculum, then we can set goals and adjust those according to what each student needs. Differentiated education has ongoing and frequent assessments. This is important because without those assessments, we don't know where a student would be. If we just assess at the end, we may miss a gap where a student has suddenly not understood something. And if we don't do that, then we can't fill in that gap. We can't fill in that hole. And then it kind of cascades down. But if we can catch where they're misunderstanding something, we can start to fill in these holes and adjust to where a misunderstanding is and start to catch and understand where this miscommunication is and adjust to the student's needs based on these frequent assessments so that we understand exactly what these students need. It has a response to students' instructional needs. Every student is different. Students are little tiny people, and they come from a variety of places in their lives. They come into a common classroom, but they come from different places, and they all have different needs. And so we as teachers need to find what works for each child. Some child really loves attention, some needs a quiet spot, some works well with others, some needs to be alone. Some student loves praise, some student doesn't. We as teachers need to find what that child responds to and work with it so that we can continue to get that child going and figure out what they need to make them successful. And then differentiated instruction has effective classroom management, because if we are going to adapt our instruction to the individual needs of our students, then we have to manage that classroom in a way that is adjusted to 25 different students and 25 different needs. And that means managing a classroom with a set of boundaries and rules that can effectively allow the classroom to function. If we have a small group going, that's okay. But we can also have students over here working on a different project, and that will be okay as well. So effective classroom management is a key to all of this, because if we are not managing our classroom correctly and appropriately, then our differentiated education is not going to work. We'll just kind of end up with a little bit of chaos. How do teachers differentiate instruction? The first important thing to know is that there is no one way to differentiate instruction. even someone who has been differentiating instruction their entire career is still adapting and figuring out new ways to differentiate instruction. It can change from class to class, from year to year, from day to day. There's no one way to do it. So examples of ways to differentiate instruction is varied seating. As stated previously, some students may need a quiet place to sit. I have an example of a student who has the ability to read, but gets frustrated when it gets loud. So this student needs a quiet place to go read. And so when the student goes and sits in a quieter area, suddenly has the ability to read. So I allow the student to go sit in a table further away from where everyone else is reading, and that works very successfully for him. Another example is supplemental materials and manipulatives. Allowing students to pick materials of their interests or use manipulatives for math or counting to figure out the problems. If you're working on a nonfiction component about everyone's reading a book about Iceland, allowing children to then go pick a book about ice or Iceland to supplement into what they are already learning would be a great way to differentiate learning. And also learning centers, different ways to kind of study the same topic and learn about a topic within a small group. These are all ways that you can differentiate instruction. So how can you prepare your classroom and your students for a differentiated instruction? So you can prepare, I feel like the first way to prepare students is to engage their parents in understanding what differentiated instruction is. If the parents aren't on board and they are kind of not understanding what differentiating instruction is, you need to get them on board so that they understand that your goal is to set their student and their child up for success. And once that happens, you need to have and discuss and figure out the best classroom management plan that you can do. How are you going to manage and adjust your classroom for all of these differentiations? And once you have figured that out, you need to model that and model it and model it and model it until it's just kind of ingrained, so that everyone knows the rules and regulations and routines of what is expected during these times of differentiations and throughout the day. And then we need to develop rules for our students on how we are expected to behave and act. Students almost sometimes crave rules, and I found that they crave these rules and behaviors, and I find they love it. Once they know how you expect them to behave, we're all much happier. And then monitor your students, because sometimes some things don't work. Some things don't work, and if they don't work, then we adjust, which brings me to my last point, flexibility. We all need to be flexible. We want students to be flexible. We need to be flexible, and we need to monitor ourselves and our students for when some things aren't working so that we can adjust. How do we organize our classroom? We can have a varied seating, small group seating, individual seatings, carpet seating, table seating, not just those rows of desks that you remember seeing when you look up classroom images. It's just rows of desks. Have varied ways of seating that allow for different kinds of learners to do their best and learn. Have storage and items easily accessible for students so that it doesn't cause a problem when they need something, that they can get to what they need in a way that's not disruptive, and they can just get to what they need and they can do it without disrupting you, without disrupting their classmates, without causing a problem. And then utilize all the spaces in the room, the bulletin boards, the wall space. Utilize that as classroom management tools, as organizational tools, because we're almost amazed at how much space we have on the walls that we forget about. Post important information on the walls, our rules, our routines, what we should be doing in that area. And just kind of as reminders and guidelines and helpful ideas on those areas. And then again, flexibility. If an area isn't working, if something's just not happening right, and you notice it, remember that you're flexible and that you can adjust it and you can kind of problem solve that area and figure out how best you can adjust that situation. So next we're going to discuss some common classroom practices and see if they are a differentiated instruction practice or not. The first one is delivers instruction primarily by lecturing. Second one is groups students at the beginning of the year based on the previous year's achievement test score. And the last one is gives bonus points for classroom participation. So, delivering information primarily through lecturing. This is not a differentiated instructional practice. Why isn't it? This is not a practice for differentiated instruction because it only uses one approach. And its approach is that the teacher is standing in front of the students and just kind of spewing information. And then there's only one kind of grouping. The students are all primarily just sitting in one spot doing one thing. It lacks variety, it lacks flexibility, and it doesn't cater to any other kind of learning other than a student who can sit there and listen and take notes. So if there is a different type of learner in there than someone who can't do that, then we've lost them. If we have a student who can't focus or a student who just can't do that, then that student is now kind of out of the picture. How can we differentiate this lesson? We could teach the base of this lesson through a lecture, the core part of it, and then we could split off into smaller groups and begin our individual groups and then begin to work and to meet into these smaller groups to figure out what each group needs and to problem solve what each smaller group needs. And they could start to work together and kind of problem solve their problems, meet with the teacher, figure out what happens there. We could also start off by assessing what they already know and deliver the information that way. And then we could reassess and see what we've learned and then problem solve from and then reteach what we've missed or what we haven't taught or what we've missed in the information. The next thing that we're going to talk about is grouping students based off their previous year's assessments or achievements. Why isn't this differentiated instruction? This primarily is not differentiated instruction because it fails to gauge our students' current knowledge. It doesn't show what they know, and it doesn't show any growth. We're not measuring their growth by this. We're just saying, well, last year you didn't know this, so here you go. And so we want to show their growth. And so how can we differentiate this? We can start off by assessing them on what they currently know. And then we can watch for their growth. We want to know how they're growing because it's not always what they used to know. It's about what they know and what they're learning. They may not be learning at the same pace, but they're learning. We could also continue to we can allow students to maybe self-assess themselves and work with them to see what they want to know and how they're going to learn this and kind of create a plan for them. Because oftentimes students grow and they learn, and we're failing to do this way. So we could assess and figure out what they have learned. And the last one is bonus points for participation. Why isn't this differentiated practice? This inflates a score and it doesn't show mastery. We're just saying, hey, you showed up. Great job. Here's some points. How can we differentiate this? If we're going to give bonus points to students, we are going to give them bonus points for content, for something that was content and that was relevant in what they were working towards mastery. If they don't master that bonus point, it doesn't count against them, but it needs to be relevant to what they were working towards. So in conclusion, differentiated instruction is student-led education for me. It's primarily student education. It adapts to allow what best allows students to learn. How can we best get them to learn? There's no one way to differentiate instruction. Anyone can do it differently. Everyone's going to do it differently. There's no one best way to do it. And that if you're flexible, that you're going to figure it out. You just got to be flexible and figure out how best to adapt to your students. And here are some sources for the information. Thank you.